Okay.
It is.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:02.
Okay. So present we have Miss Jennifer Haggerty. Here. Miss Stacy Hoover. Here. Mr. Marquis James.
Here.
Mr. Peter Manella.
Here.
Mr. James Preston.
Present.
All present.
Yes, thank you. So this is an exciting evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming. So we have 2 new board members we're going to swear in this evening, and we are happy to do this. So how do we start, Shaylin? I'm taking it
Sure.
from you.
So we are going to swear in our new members of the Board of Education. So Peter and Marquis, this is your opportunity to read your oath of office.
Yes, you can stand up, please.
Go ahead.
Actually,
You can do them simultaneously.
Do you want to do them together? You want to do them separate?
I'll hold the beat.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Office of Board of Education member according to the best of my ability.
Thank you. If you would just sign that. Okay.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the Board of Education member according to the best of my ability.
Amen.
I am going to pause for a minute because I'd like to invite Marquis' family up to get a photo with him because they have taken the time to come this evening, and we so appreciate this, and we love the fact that you're supporting him. We thank you for the reins that you've passed down on him, and we're glad to have him. So if you would come up, we'd like to take a picture.
In all my years of going to Board of Education meetings, I've never seen a whole family come for a swearing in. This is pretty impressive.
You guys, my family is one of the most
I've never seen it.
You'll see more of us, trust me.
That's awesome.
Okay, and then you won't be so happy. This makes us excited.
Where do you want us to
Go stand over there. Yeah, wherever you're comfortable, we're excited. This makes us happy. Where's Papa John's? Thank you.
And Danielle is always picture perfect.
Always.
Such a value for you, you know. You got me today too.
Go ahead.
Yes.
slide this way, Mark?
Well, you should be in the center. You're elected official here.
Oh, you guys look fantastic.
Guys, thanks for coming. This is cool. I've never seen that.
Every event.
Yeah,
This is not
one of the most supportive families you will ever have.
For those of you that are coming, wow, no. So they're at every football, baseball, basketball game, everything that we can have.
The whole family just rolls up to everything.
And believe it or not, I went to high school with that young child right there.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's our
Peter, I can pretend to be your daughter if you want.
19 years we're going to be like you've never seen this before.
I don't feel
You're
really
going to
happy.
say, congratulations.
I'm gonna have to deal with my this morning. Uncle, like, you know, 3 brothers.
Oh my God. It's great.
All right.
Good start.
This is a good start. All right, so
So now I need a motion to nominate the president of the Board of Education of the Rensselaer City School District for the 24-25 year. Jim and Stacy will nominate Jen.
anybody else want it? Anybody? Thank you, I appreciate
It's all
it.
yours.
Thank you.
Again, go team. And then I need a motion to nominate the vice president of the Board of Education of the Rensselaer City School District for the 24-25 school year.
I'd like to,
Oh,
2 people nominated, don't you need to vote?
oh, okay,
All in
yes.
favor?
All in favor? Aye.
me, thank you. I'd like to nominate Stacy to be the vice president.
Going again, once or twice, everybody else.
Peter, second that. All in favor? Aye.
Oh, I have to, do I? Yeah, I vote for myself. Okay. I vote myself. And then a motion is needed to designate a chairperson of the Board of Education of the Rensselaer City School District for the 24-25 school year to serve in absence of both the president and the vice president.
Mr. Preston, you are up.
I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then a motion is needed to designate 3 members to the audit committee for the 24-25 school year.
Numbers, can I have that?
Yes, I'll take Jim
I
on. Yeah,
love
so I'd like to motion that Stacy, Markey, and Peter do that.
I love numbers.
Second?
Aye.
Jim, all in favor?
I
Thank you.
And then
make sure we read these right.
Yeah.
Public speaking.
I need
I'm already sweating.
a motion is needed to reappoint Shaylin Payton as the district clerk to the Board of Education of the Rensselaer City School District for the 24-25 school year.
Got it.
Jen, Stacy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and a motion is needed to reappoint Stephen Gacci as the district treasurer to the Board of Education of the Rensselaer City School District for the 24-25 school year.
So Peter, Markey, this is Stephen right here, just so you can say hello.
I'm in today, so I vote for him.
Markey, thank you. Second?
I will.
All right, Stacy, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and now we will read our oaths, the rest of us that.
Are we doing it in unison or?
Yeah, we can do it, yeah.
Yes.
We didn't bring an entourage, so.
No, we're good. I've done this one.
All of my personalities, we're good.
1, 2, 3. I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of President according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
Okay, all right, Jen, I give this back to you. You are now the president.
Thank you.
Oh, please, somebody 7-1.
Yeah.
I never know the date. You're passing that on in? Yeah. Did you all sign your little sheets? Did you turn them in already?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Very nice. So you will notice under other appointments, A through R are pretty standard appointments that we do every year in the beginning of the year to get the ball rolling. Does anybody have any questions under other appointments, A through R? No? I'm going to motion to move that section. Stacy, Jim, all in favor? Aye. All right, under designations, about the same thing. We're going to be appointing things that we need to do throughout the year. You're going to notice there's a calendar of dates in there for our school board meetings. So please keep abreast of the dates, or feel free to text me if you forget, and I will remind you. So any questions about A through D?
We're just gonna make sure that aligns with the sports calendar.
I'll do my best.
I do have a question.
Or you get to miss
Are we
it.
meeting again Wednesday?
Oh,
No.
no.
Oh, it says Wednesday, it should say Monday.
All right, and
Oh, yes.
No.
Nice catch, thank
Good
you.
catch.
Okay.
I was looking at the
Thank you.
dates.
I'm looking at the date.
All right, so that should be changed. And do, please, just a reminder, it starts at 6 p.m. this year. So any questions through A through D? No? Okay, motion to move that part.
So moved.
All right, Peter and Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so authorizations A through I. Is the blue new or not new?
No,
Should I ask you that,
it's
Stephen?
just linked.
It's not red. Okay, it was just.
Just has that.
Okay, thank you. That's what I thought. Any questions about A through I?
No.
No? Okay, motion to move that section. Jim and Stacy, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Okay, under other, we don't have any additions than what were sent to us, so any questions about A through F? No? Okay, thank you. Motion? Peter, Markey, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, routine matters. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Ed regular
motion.
meeting. All right, thank you, Jim. Anyone else? Stacy, all in favor? Aye. Do we have any communications?
No.
Board items, considerations, assignment of action? No. All right, do you have a report, Joe?
All I want to say is, based on your question, Jim, I wore you guys out enough in May and June with meetings. So we have this one.
I'll second that.
We have the invitation to the training mid-July, and we have a meeting at the end of August. Other than that, I'll be happy to go to coffee with any of you, but kind of try to enjoy your summer.
That's what I was concerned about.
No, we didn't say that on the air with beers.
Board meetings on my pool for the summer.
All right, so the next one's invitation to visitors to address the Board of Education. I think we have some people in the audience that have some things to say, so we'd love to hear from you.
Okay, I'm Bob Walton, I'm from the Rensselaer Environmental Coalition, and I've got some handouts, and I promise to run through these quickly. I'm not going to tie you up with stuff, and some of this stuff you may want to absorb, ask some questions later, I don't know. So I'll run through these one page at a time.
Bob, is your contact on here or no?
Probably not, but
Okay.
He's on the Facebook.
people have my email.
Okay.
Bob makes himself easy to find.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta get some more in there. I've got one more for you. Just a second.
I can share with Joe too if you need a copy for your.
Yeah, I've killed so many trees getting ready for this.
It's a nice
You guys take the color copy, Sheila and I'll share the.
So, I sort of have a little preamble first about the Rensselaer Environmental Coalition. I've been involved with them since, I think, 2020, and I know history. There was a lot said about we were affiliated with a political party and all that, but I can tell you right now, that is no longer the case if it ever was. There was a perception that has continued, and it's not accurate anymore. And so I'll talk to anybody. We'll take help from anybody that wants to help. So that being said, I gotta calm down because if I start talking fast, I'll lose my breath.
Don't do that, please.
No. So the first picture there, I didn't have one for the last gentleman. It's on photo paper. And I hope you keep it so you can be reminded that your role is not simply education, but keeping the setting in which education happens a safe one. In that regard, I would say that when dealing with agencies such as DEC, excuse me, and the health department, don't buy any argument that says air quality is no different than the rest of the state. Your location is different than any other location in the state, and any conclusions in that regard have to be site-specific. Don't buy the generalized argument, oh, it's no different than anywhere else. You are different than anywhere else. Because agencies like DEC and the health department address all kinds of situations, they have a tendency to approach them all in the same general fashion, rather than being site-specific. I gotta slow down, sorry. I'm glad I don't have to wear a mask. When I became involved with REC, it was clear to me that air quality would be the #1 issue to be addressed at this sensitive location. What I'm about to share with you is site-specific, and it is objective evidence of problems that as a board, I would respectfully suggest you may want to bring up with the appropriate agencies. Sure, it comes from a group that has an agenda, but that should not matter. So wind direction. If you look at the page that shows the wind direction, I believe it's page 1. This is an annual summary of wind direction. So wind direction comes predominantly from the west and from the south. That's from the landfill towards the school and towards East Greenbush and some parts of Rensselaer. So that's the predominant wind direction, which is important to understand. Page 2 and 3 describe what we obtained in readings from the roof of your school. You know that DEC has an air monitor on the roof of your school. They describe what PM 2.5 is, what the health consequences are, and what we found. So we got a 4-month Excel file from last year from DEC through a FOIL request. And what we did with that Excel file, we looked at it in terms of what happens when the landfill is open and what happens when it's closed. So what we found is when the landfill is open, there's a 16% increase in the air quality in terms of the downward trend. In other words, it's worse 16% of the time when the landfill is open. So, excuse me. So, PM 2.5 is over 100 times thinner than a human hair. And remember, these readings are from the roof of the school at the ground level, which is the breathing level. And it's very possible that if you get to the ground level, it's going to be worse. So also remember that it's not just PM 2.5. It's all the other toxins that are in the air. That's what everybody breathes in a single breath. They breathe it all in. The other thing you may consider is even if the landfill is not operating, it's still there. And you don't know what that impact is too. Even though it's not 16%, it still has an effect. Just in terms of standards, the standard for PM 2.5 is what they call a 9, I believe it's called micrometers. What we found during the operation of the landfill, the annual standard was 8. Okay, so it's very close to what the state standard is for when it becomes a difficult issue. So if you look at the whole year, which we were not able to get, we haven't been able to get the information from DEC other than these 4 months, it could be very possible if they measured at the ground level that it could be significantly worse. So that's PM 2.5. And I know I gave Joe sort of a guide earlier, I emailed it to him, which I assume you're sharing with.
I did that for you.
Which is, useful. It's a pretty good short summary of all the issues. The other thing, on page 4, there's a picture of what the berm is going to look like if it's ever built. And that's from Dunn's website. Page 5, and I'm not going to ask you to read all that, describes how wind is affected by the terrain it blows over. Pages 6 and 7 show how wind speed increases coming up and down a hill and how turbulence is created when there's a sudden drop in the terrain, as it would be in the case here. Page 8, if you look, there are drawings of the proposed berm, and please note the height. There's a height chart right on the left-hand side of those. So it looks like the berm would be from approximately 20 to 40 feet high, depending on where it is, which is pretty high. So if wind is coming over, remember, the landfill's not full there yet, so it's coming up a hill, and then it hits a drop. And that's the issue that we've identified. The wind speed will increase. So that means that the berm could possibly make matters worse here at the school and in the community. Finally, we can't begin to explain something we should certainly address with DEC is the high readings of PM10 during September and October of last year. The last 2 pages show our review of this information. Most of the extremely high readings were in the very early morning hours, the very late evening hours, and the days of the week were random. The wind in all cases was from the northwest. I looked at the wildfire smoke issues on the air quality index, and I could only find, I couldn't find anything about smoke. I found out that out of the 19 days where this happened, there were 5 that were considered in the moderately hazardous zone. That's for people who are already very sensitive to that issue anyway. So we don't know if it's smoke. We don't know what it is. We don't know why it's there. We have exhausted our efforts with DEC to get up-to-date information. They have practically denied us at every turn. It's been very difficult. We've used a lot of FOIL requests, we've written letters, we've put things in the newspaper. It's just, it's like pushing a pillow. You just don't get the answers that you need. So I'd say, it's your school, the test is on your roof, you're responsible for the kids, and what happens, the safety of the environment. It's really something, we've notified DEC and the Department of Health. I've sent you a copy of what we sent to them. It's really, we'll help in any way we can, but we can't take, direct action like you can, or like DEC can, or Department of Health can, if they're so motivated to do that. So that's it. I can give you a little more if you want, but we can share the Excel file with you. We can give you what we've got. We're not trying to massage anything. It's really the safety of the kids that's the most important issue. The permit is beside the fact. I think what's may have happened is the permit issue has gotten in the way of DEC doing the right thing for the school. I think the permit issue is clouding the issue, and DEC needs to look at this site, regardless of a permit, and see what's happening here, because it doesn't look good. So that's what I've got next.
No, thank you, Bob. I will take some time to take a look at this. It will take me a little bit to absorb it.
Well, if you want my phone number, Joe's got my phone, I
Yeah, and
can
I'll
give you
reach
my
out to
phone
you
number,
if you have
whatever.
questions.
I'll answer any questions.
I do have a question for Joe about what, are we allowed to, like, what is, from the machine on the roof, what readings are we allowed to ask for? We have to FOIL, or do we own the readings from that?
We haven't, they stopped giving them over to us, and we haven't really gone and monitored or asked for it recently. What I said to Bob last time I talked to him is I'd like to sit down with him and his team and bring our Quest R3 safety team
Pat?
in.
Patrick?
Well,
Or-
not just Patrick,
Okay.
but Patrick is our representative, but they have a whole team of people. And bring them in and see what we can assess out of this, and then probably make a formal request for more information from DEC.
Okay.
But we want to make an informed request of them.
Sure.
Not just give us what you have, but here's where our concerns are based on this information. Can you help fill in the gaps? What can you do to ensure that we're going to be safe, our kids are safe? But the last time I talked to Bob, I'd like to sit down and really have it
Oh,
a
absolutely.
little more in-depth, and then get some more ears on our side of the
We may
table.
be able to bring in a few experts ourselves. Possibly, we don't know, we don't have a big budget.
Right.
Really pay consultants and that.
I just wanted to sit and meet with you
People
guys.
who are interested in this.
To help with people that understand the air quality stuff better than I do.
Yeah.
I mean, what you say has some sensibility, but I don't even remotely pretend.
No, well, I don't either. I only know what I've done from studying it. I don't really, I'm not an expert, I don't know.
No, but we do know how to engage experts.
Yeah.
So I think we need to take the conversation in a little different depth.
Right.
And Bob, I don't want to put light on the permit, because that's not what we want to focus about, like you said, but they put an application in, that's correct? And then how long does that take?
It can take a long, long
Long
time.
time. It's already
been
passed.
almost 2 years.
So basically, their permit exists until the new application is
Till
still operating.
DEC,
They operate,
for some
so,
reason,
yeah.
decides they
That's how
can
we do
make
it.
some sort of a
DEC
decision.
decides to
And that may not be the end of it either, because there could likely
Then there's
be,
litigation.
depending on what comes out, there could be lawsuits on both sides of the issue. So this thing could drag on for a long,
It could be full by the
long
time they even get out of
But
court.
the air quality, to me, ever since I got involved, that was the number one issue that could decide this. So, and sure, I don't want the permit renewed. On the other hand, if they can make it safe and run the landfill, well, I guess, that's better than nothing. But I don't know how you make it safe. You can't stop the wind direction. You can stop the increased speed of the wind by not maybe doing that berm that way, or doing some more studies about that berm. When I saw that, I said, come on. How, in the end, they did not address I looked through 400 or 600 pages of stuff that they've submitted. There's nothing in there about the wind. Nothing. So,
Thank you.
We had someone else up here that wanted to speak too. Peter, did you
Well,
want?
thank you. A question, a dumb question and a thought. Bob, the concept of the dump being closed, is that like after hours closed, or there's?
so we looked at it, I think, from 7 in the morning to like 2 or 3 in the afternoon as being when the school was open. And that's the times we used when we came up with that.
Oh, I thought you meant the dump closed,
Yeah.
okay. And the other, just kind of revelation to me, I didn't realize, when I saw originally the pictures of the berm, the drawings of the berm, I thought that was going to keep stuff away from the school. Apparently not. That was revealing, especially with the wind study, so that's important.
The idea was, as they said, it's supposed to be a line of sight issue, so you don't have to look at the landfill, which I don't understand.
Well, that's
that at
theoretically
all.
black dust and debris blowing this thing.
It almost functions like a snow fence.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, kids are blowing snow, piles up in the backside.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
We had another gentleman up here that wanted.
Sorry. Oh, go ahead, sir. I'll get to you.
Thank you. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Stephen DeWall-Malapa. I'm a local pediatrician and I work at Albany Medical Center. So I just wanted to offer our organization's help, to the conversation if this is something I have some patients with asthma. I care for over 10,000 patients in the community, including patients that come to this school. And, over the past few years, I've heard of some families, mentioning the landfill issue. And I actually grew up in Post and Kill, so local or Rensselaer County. But I'm currently working as our center's program director for our Pediatric Environmental Health Center. I do have some contacts at the DOH that run their school health program, and have some contacts across the state, down in New York City and other places. So it's something that would be helpful to be a part of that smaller conversation, perhaps. Maybe that'd be a more appropriate place. But just from a pediatrician's perspective, I certainly appreciate the concern for air quality, particulate matter, especially PM 2.5. Those are the very small particles that can be absorbed into your lungs, and really small particles can go even further into your bloodstream, affecting other organs. So kids who have asthma, perhaps kids, especially outside during recess, or maybe, on the athletic teams, those would be some concerns for the air quality. And I think the thing that I appreciate, or maybe what became apparent, just looking at what is publicly available on the DEC website, if you look at air quality and you want reassurance from the DEC that the air quality for the children, the staff, teachers in the school is healthy, you're really hard pressed to find that on their publicly available website, because when you look at the last 5 years, only 1 year has complete data. And during that year, there was a significant spike, I believe, in September for PM10, which they didn't really have a good answer as to why. So that's a little concerning. And then they had some other issues with equipment failure, supply shortages to replace that equipment. In the last 2 years, I don't think they have any publicly available data. And I'm just curious as to why that is, and whether you as a school board have received anything from the DEC.
Just want to say one thing about that. So I have pro bono lawyers from Pace University Law Center, and they wrote a letter to the interim commissioner in May pointing out just what you talked about, the lack of relevant information on the website that's supposed to be available to the public. It's so out of date. There's so much more that should be on there that's not on there. And that's supposed to be how people find out what's going on. They're supposed to be able to look at that DEC page on the dumb landfill and see, oh, everything looks fine. It's not fine, and they know it's not fine. For instance, one thing, the leachate, which is the fluid that comes through the landfill that's trucked over to the Albany wastewater treatment plant, has PFAS in it. If you read the PFAS on the dumb landfill on the DEC webpage, it says, oh, there's really no problem here. However, the leachate is full of PFAS that exceeds any standards that currently exist. So, they're not being honest about that either. Either maybe they're honest, they just have so much work they can't get to it. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say they're not honest, but that's how
They're gonna say
that's
they're
how
on
you
staff.
that's how you feel when you're trying to deal with this.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you.
Just to piggyback on what both the gentlemen here just said, if we have the ability to get the testings and the readings on the roof of our building, shouldn't we be more proactive in getting that data and then putting that forward?
I think we're gonna need to, right?
The
Like, this is
district,
I think that's what we were just-
public,
Yeah.
to-
Talking about shifting gears and
yeah.
pulling
When was
that.
our last reading update from the school?
It was years ago. So at one point, they were sending us quarterly updates. And that stopped when they had an equipment failure somewhere along the line.
About 3 years.
And then it never really restarted.
There was hydrogen sulfide. Is that what that?
I think they were doing those too, but there was also the particulate.
Oh, PM10.
Yeah,
That's what that big
PM10.
machine was measuring.
PM10,
Yeah,
yep.
So as a district, I think we should be more proactive in getting this information out. It will also help us moving forward to, take action and get this taken care of.
And I would just add on that too, if you're having issues with the DEC not releasing data in a timely manner, there are technology, available to easily, monitor the air quality, at the school. And so don't feel like the technical aspect there is a barrier. That could be certainly something we'd be glad to help with if that's a concern. But they even have technology where you can, wear a device and it'll monitor your air quality, monitor these things, PM10, PM2.5, and so on.
Okay. Annie?
Hi,
Sure,
my
go
name
ahead.
is Jessica. So I want to piggyback off of what the doctor said about air quality and maybe put this back into context for the students. So what I have is an article from CBS 6. This came out 4 years ago. And everyone's going to get a card and I'll leave a copy with
Sure, thank you.
everybody. I'm going to read the article quickly. Thanks for helping me. So again, we are from the Rensselaer Environmental Coalition. Our goal is to close the Dunn landfill that's next to the school. That's why we're here today. So let me, I do have a few more copies. I apologize. All right. The title of the article is The Dump. That's what we're known for. Rensselaer students want the Dunn landfill closed. Residents in the city of Rensselaer continue their efforts to shut down the landfill they say has been wreaking havoc in their lives, especially to the students of Rensselaer City School District. On Saturday, students, parents, and concerned residents gathered at the city's public library to share their concerns and stories about how the Dunn landfill has affected their lives. Students expressed how the landfill has impacted them not only academically, but also physically. It's very upsetting, this is a quote, "It's very upsetting to go to school every single day, having to get out of a car in the morning, breathing in the hydrogen sulfide, smelling the rotten eggs, and then having to go to each classroom, feeling down and depressed because you go to school next to a dump and nobody seems to care," said a student who spoke during the press conference. The student also added that the school's sports program has suffered as a result of the landfill. He said, quote, "We had a cross-country meet, the dust was flying, we were breathing it in. I don't think I could have finished the race. That's how bad it was. It was the dust flying in. It's dry, the smell. Even other schools complain. They come here and they say, 'What's that smell?' The dump. That's what we're known for," said the student. "We only have one cross-country meet and we limit the amount of track meets even though we have a great facility here at the school." Another student, Noah Majali, did a 30-page report on the landfill's pulmonary effect on students at the staff at the Rensselaer City School District. He said, "I compared my study to other locations around the capital region that didn't have a landfill right next to school. I was able to conclude that the pulmonary conditions were more prominent in Rensselaer City School District compared to other school districts." Concerned parents also shared stories of how they're seeing a rise in respiratory issues with their children. Quote, "I get phone calls from the school nurse weekly for each of my children who attend the school," said Heather Trentacosta, a mother of 8 whose children attend the Rensselaer City School District. Trentacosta said she signed her oldest daughter out of school when she was 16 because she was constantly being sent home sick. She said, quote, "My younger children are experiencing breathing difficulties. They've been put on medication for breathing trouble and headaches," said Trentacosta. Trentacosta said her family moved to the area 4 years ago. Quote, "I live downstate, so we are new to this area. My younger children didn't have the health issues that they are suffering from now when they were in school downstate." And then in a CBS interview, the landfill manager responded and said they take the safety of the students extremely seriously. He said, quote, "We listen to the DEC, we listen to neighbors. When we make mistakes, we make corrections," said the manager of the Dunn landfill. "Last year, we invested $400,000 in an initial system where we apply a vacuum to the top of the liner, between the liner to the waste to collect the air out of the facility. Today, we're in the middle of another expansion," and then it goes on. The rest of it's kind of not relevant, but I
have a question. And this 4 years ago was a big deal. That's actually when I first got on the board. And the mayor was here and everything. Now, as the mayor and the common council couldn't do anything about this. Okay, he ran on, "I'm gonna close it up." I know he had people.
Separation thereof.
Okay, now, we signed a letter saying we didn't want the dump here. What exactly do you think we can do about this? I mean, they've been trying to close it, nothing has happened.
So I think, to me personally, I think it's the air quality issue that will decide this issue. If you really have it analyzed and it's really pushed, I think the air quality here is poor.
No.
And I really think, you know, you can talk about trucks coming up Partition Street and all the problems that has, the PFAS. PFAS, by the way, is in the air too, so there's another thing that's in the
Well, and I think
air.
it's good that we remove some of the other things that came with the first fight. So if some of those things are removed, and I'm not, I mean, openly, if political stuff is removed and all the other stuff that came in was removed, and we do focus on the health and air quality, there may be some better advantages to this. And I will say that,
And the district did speak out when we were.
you know,
We,
about that.
we do have a mechanism this time. Hello.
Come on in, boys. Sorry.
We do have another link this time. So on your purple cards, and everyone can sign this is a link to a petition to demand DEC, the governor, Kathy Hochul, and Tish James, demand closure of the Dunn landfill. What's changed since 2020 is there was a law passed in 2020 called the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, where DEC is having to evaluate whether or not that dump has a disproportionate burden on the students here. It's a formal analysis that Waste Connections have to put together, and it specifically outlines they have to talk about how the greenhouse gases coming off of that landfill affect the students and affect the school and affect the entire city of Rensselaer. That's what's different this time. And that's
So they've ignored you for 4 years though? You said it was
Well, the
passed in
environmental
2020.
justice thing is what
Oh,
they're
so
not using.
they're having to
because they have to go
review
through
the law
steps.
within the confines of the permit renewal, which started in 2022. Yes, it's a lot of bureaucratic processes, so that's why it takes so many years. I'm sure you're aware of how that works.
Well, I think in the limelight was there was COVID, right? So everybody focused on other things.
No,
other
they were out of
things were
COVID by
going.
the time they.
But I don't want us to lose hope. I don't want us to think, oh, there's nothing we can do about that landfill. There literally is. There's literally a new law that didn't exist before that DEC is already having to evaluate. They're already having to look at this law. It specifically mentions the school. Rensselaer, this entire city of Rensselaer is designated as a disadvantaged community under this law. The goal of the law is to not over-concentrate pollution sources in disadvantaged communities, which are low-income communities, which Rensselaer is a low-income community. We have a lot of pollution sources. We have one right next to our school. That is a disproportionate burden. The law applies to us.
Correct.
Because it's a new law, how it's going to be interpreted is kind of open, it's kind of up in the air. And that's where you're demanding that DEC hold the law to its fullest extent and protect Rensselaer legally what we are owed to be protected and close that landfill. That is what's different. So please sign the petition. The petition cites the Community Leadership and Community Protection Act, Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. That is what our hope is. We're not just accepting that there's a landfill next to the school and we can't do anything about it.
I don't think we as a board want the landfill there. I think that we.
That's what I said, we already signed the letter about it.
We do have a voice, but I do
Here.
think that some people in the community feel that we have much more power than we actually do in a lot of things. We have no problem voicing our opinion about things and talking with Joe and giving that out there, but what I won't allow is for people to then in the community say that we get bought out, people pay us to keep the landfill there. We are volunteers, and our regulations under the law of board members is we don't really have that much power as you think. But we are happy to
No,
voice
and I
our
will
opinion
say-
about that, but I don't want to hear things in the
Like
community
we
about that.
did 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's,
I was
you're not
campaigning
gonna
for
hear
that
that from
cheers
us.
for the
So guarantee that, that's not gonna happen.
I would like to speak to that, since working with Bob, that whole finger pointing at the school thing has dissipated. At least from, it was very heavily from the same sources. It's funny, because our interests were aligned, none of us want that there, but there was a big blaming of the school, and I have not seen or felt that. I know Bob's been carrying his torch, and we've been kind of doing our thing, but absolutely endorsed what you guys have been doing, and I'm happy to sit down with you, learn a little bit more, and see if we can ask the right questions of them. And maybe we can get access to information that you struggled with.
Can I give a
That would be useful.
I will continue to stay on Joe about getting the reports too. I don't have a problem with that.
Just clarification, when you're talking about the climate community impact, I always forget where all the letters are. What is there a requirement in there that Dunn is supposed to do something to measure air quality, or DEC? I just want to be clear on what that change is. I'm kind of familiar with the law. but-
DEC is the enforcement body. Dunn has to provide the analysis.
So they haven't done that yet.
They have provided the analysis. They have done so inadequately. They haven't done what the requirement was. They're required, as I mentioned, to talk about how the greenhouse gases that come off that landfill impact, like the cumulative exposure of greenhouse gases on a child, how that impacts them and adults as well. when I read their response, this is all bureaucratic letters, they don't even mention children. They don't mention the school. They go out of their way to not mention children or the school.
And how can you possibly do that analysis without a collection of data?
That's right.
And then
Well, I will say they do use air monitoring data from Loudonville and Albany stations. They don't use air quality readings from Rensselaer County.
So it's the Albany County Health Department, which is 200 feet lower and across the Hudson River. And they're trying to say, oh, that's similar to here, or Loudonville, which is 2.5 miles in the other direction, that's the same as here. It's not the same as here. That's part of that general approach that I mentioned earlier. I just get irritated when I hear some of this stuff because it's not relevant to what's. So talk about measuring air quality. You probably aren't aware of this either. So DEC in the disadvantaged communities, and there are like 10 across the state, they contracted with a company called Aclima to do mobile air monitoring in those disadvantaged communities. They had cars, I think they were Priuses with stuff on the roof. They drove around the streets and they measured for like, I think 5 toxic substances in all these communities. And the data in Rensselaer, because I've seen some of it, it's not great, but they didn't come here because the school is not actually in the disadvantaged community. The reason the school is included in all of this stuff on the permit is because the kids are coming from the disadvantaged community. So they never measured, they never came down the drive, they never came in the parking lots, they never went to the closest streets around the school, they never measured it because that was not part of the thing. So but they have it for Rensselaer and it's not good. It's different in different streets, and they measure for 5 different things. So that's something you should know about too. So they have some data, it's just not for right here.
Okay. I just want to finish by saying we are just asking for an act of solidarity from the school board to sign the petition, the updated petition for 2024. And anybody can sign if anybody wants a card.
Thank you.
I just wanted to play off your main question, which is what are we going to do differently this time, or what can you do in a way? And we've addressed some points on the sides of everything, but I think overall in the beginning we talked about maybe having the board reach out to DEC to try to get some of that data. Will show that there's outreach, there's your eyes as a school board are looking at this now, at least looking for data, and that'll help us and all of us understand what that new data that we haven't had access to, if we can get it, with your help, and the idea that you're behind looking for that data might put DEC a little more on alert as well, and at least start there.
Well, I think
Dr.
would it
Dewalt,
be
in part of this conversation, I think is going to be a big help because he has a lot of contacts and that'll help in our discussions to figure out what the next steps are. So.
Wouldn't it make sense with all the issues? I know you mentioned other methods of tracking this information, analyzing the data. Maybe we just go our own route, get the information we can, work with you to get it submitted to the right places, and then see what we can do from there. Because obviously, if we're already having issues with one method and we don't get the response when we're supposed to, if we use an alternative method, figure out what that looks like, submit that data, that's us showing initiative to get the information regardless of what's out there, and then we take action from there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add, whether or not DEC would allow a qualified third party to.
I just asked Joe that.
Okay.
No, Mr. James, thank you. That was just like thinking that, really.
So in my experience with DEC, they would put a lot of restrictions around how the data is collected in order to accept it. So then it would be a qualified licensed third party. It's not just getting the equipment and wearing it or putting it on the site, because it always leaves lots of questions, right? So it would have to be hiring a licensed third party, whatever, tester that is certified and can reduce the variables and identify them. The only way that we could get that data, it would be very expensive data to get. We can get anecdotal data. So you have a website where people can click, it stinks
Yeah,
here.
right.
And DEC considers that anecdotal data because anybody can put something in there.
Because it's anonymous.
Right, so they won't take that seriously. If we go collect data on our own, it won't be taken seriously. It would have to be done by a licensed professional that can narrow down what the variables are in order to be taken seriously.
So DEC does have the ability to do, significant testing. They can do it.
Yes.
But will they?
Yes.
Yes.
So the better question is, what data are they collecting and what else could they test?
Right.
And I know we did spend a significant amount of money to test the surrounding areas of soil and gave them, and we looked at all that, right, Joe? So, well, no, thank you. I think this is all very important, and we'll need to start back up the conversation about this, and, we will stay on top of it. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark. I do.
Thanks,
No,
guys.
thank you. It's been a long time since we've had the conversation, so I appreciate it. We don't have any old business under new business. If anyone doesn't have any questions, A through Q, I'm going to motion to move that section. Peter and Stacy, all in favor? Aye. Okay, superintendent recommendations, that's usually personnel, so that section is A through, how's it going here?
That's the end.
Is that the end, all the way through the end? Okay. If nobody has any questions about that section, I am going to motion to move the remainder of the balance of the agenda. Peter and Stacy, all in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. No announcements, no executive session, or a motion to adjourn the meeting. Jim and Marquis, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
6:46.
6:46.
I couldn't see
I
that
can't see
glare.
the clock.
There's a glare on that clock.
Listen, I'm not issues, I'm sorry, but thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Okay. No, thank you everyone for coming, and your mom asked